Good morning, Linn-Mar. We want all students to have a productive and successful year at Linn-Mar High School. The purpose of today's video is to help you become familiar with the Linn-Mar High School Student Handbook.
Students may obtain a copy of the 2015-16 Linn-Mar High School Student Handbook on the building website. You should have been given a slip of paper with detailed instructions on how to access the handbook.
We're going to take a few minutes to go over a few of the guidelines and policies that are sometimes misunderstood or that we feel need special attention.
Attendance. Phone call notification from a parent is required in the event of an absence. Notification must be received within 3 days of the absence to avoid being counted as unexcused. Some examples of reasons that you would not be excused include oversleeping, car won't start, haircut, tanning appointment, etc.
All students must sign in and out at the 9, 10, and 11, 12 office when arriving late or leaving early. Students with 4 unexcused absences may be dropped from the class with a failing grade.
Time release. 9th and 10th grade students do not have time release. This means that you may not leave the building and/or campus once you arrive unless you have a parent or guardian consent and sign out in the 9-10 office or get permission from administration. This includes lunch. You must eat and stay in the lower commons for the entire lunch period. Violations may result in a campus violation and the consequences that come with that. This also applies to any 11th or 12th grader that does not have time release.
11th and 12th grade students may be eligible for time release if: number 1, parent approval form has been completed and is on file in the attendance office. Number 2, a student passed all courses the previous quarter. Number 3, student is in good standing with the attendance policy and code of conduct. 11th and 12th grade students with time release may be in the door 1 foyer, library, upper commons area, lower commons, or food court during free time if they do not leave the building. Students may not be in the 4 corners, the hallways, or other non-designated areas of the building during class time. 11th and 12th grade students with time release who are wandering the halls without a pass during class time may lose their time release for a period of time.
9th and 10th grade students may not be in these areas during class times between the times of 8:30 and 3:30 unless they're with a class and directly supervised by a teacher.
Dress code. Students are expected to wear appropriate clothes to school. Clothing or other apparel promoting products illegal for use by minors, and clothing displaying obscene material, profanity, or reference to prohibited conduct are not allowed.
Clothing should not show an inappropriate amount of bare skin, including bare stomachs. Shirts and shoes are to be worn while in the school building. Hats are allowed in the hallways only. Hats are not to be worn in any classroom, study hall, commons, media center, auditorium, or any other instructional area during the school day.
Academic integrity. Students who represent another person's work as their own on an academic assignment, quiz, or test, or aid another student in doing so will receive disciplinary consequences. Students are aware that plagiarism and cheating are dishonest. Please make note, however, that other academically dishonest acts are also described in the handbook and subject to disciplinary action.
Illegal substances. Students may not be in possession of, nor under the influence of, tobacco, alcohol, or drugs while on campus. This includes leaving campus and returning under the influence.
ID cards. Students are required to carry their Linn-Mar High School ID cards at all times. Students must have an ID for admission to all Linn-Mar High School dances. The student ID is also required for library checkout, activities, and lunch. If a student does not have his or her Linn-Mar High School student ID for lunch, a pass for lunch must be approved in the 9-10 or 11-12 office. Students will not be issued more than 6 passes per lunch per semester. Lost ID cards must be obtained from the 9-10 or 11-12 office at a charge of $6 per ID card.
Eligibility. Students must pass all courses during the preceding grading period in order to be eligible to participate in extracurricular activities for the next 9 weeks. Students who receive incomplete grades shall be ineligible until all coursework is satisfactorily completed. Students who receive F+ grades shall be ineligible for a minimum of 30 days pending the completion of all coursework at a passing D- level.
Parking. Students with tags are to park in your assigned student parking lots only. Students are not to park in visitor parking outside of door 1, the faculty staff parking areas in the east and south lots, the LRC lot, or Indian Creek Elementary. Students parking illegally will incur a $25 fine.
Doorways. Only door 1 will be open during the school day. All other doors are locked at 8:45 a.m. Students are not to prop open doors or let people indoors that are locked.
Dance expectations. The administration holds the right to address inappropriate clothing choices. All guidelines concerning student dress code within the student handbook apply. For example, this means skirts may not be too short and tops may not be too low. Grinding is inappropriate and will not be tolerated at school dances. Grinding behaviors may include, but are not limited to, hands on the floor or knees while in front of another individual, bending over while in front of another individual, hands on the floor, or other inappropriate hand placement. There are other dance behaviors that cross the line, including but not limited to the following: dresses or skirts being pulled up, inappropriate skin showing like the stomach, backside, chest, etc.
Consequences for repeated inappropriate behaviors will result in the student being asked to leave the dance and may result in a ban from dances.
Thank you for your attention to these points of emphasis. Have a great year.
Good morning, Linn-Mar. I'm Mrs. Belt, Associate Principal. This morning's homeroom deals with harassment, student rights, and responsibilities. You should have already received a brochure from your homeroom teacher. Please open it to the first page and follow along as I highlight some of the key points. The purpose of this brochure is to provide students with information on Linn-Mar's policy and procedures regarding sexual harassment, to also provide an example of behaviors which constitute harassment, provide you with information about what to do if you are the victim of sexual harassment, and provide you with information about consequences for harassment or failure to report harassing behaviors. Linn-Mar Board of Education Policies 403.14 and 502.14 address harassment in the form of student to student, student to staff, and staff to staff. The policy states that all members of the Linn-Mar Community School District are expected to conduct themselves so as to provide an atmosphere free from sexual harassment. Any person proven to be in violation of this policy while acting as a member of the school community will be subject to discipline or discharge. The section at the bottom of the page defines sexual harassment. Federal guidelines describe sexual harassment as unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature where submission to such conduct is made either explicitly or implicitly a term or condition of a person's employment or educational development, or submission to or a rejection of such conduct by an individual is used as the basis for employment or educational decisions affecting such individual, or such conduct has the purpose or effect of unreasonably interfering with an individual's work performance or creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive working or educational environment. Consequences for the student harasser are outlined on the next page. Consequences for the student harasser include, but are not limited to, a verbal warning or reprimand, a written warning or reprimand, which is also entered in the student's discipline file, internal or external suspension, expulsion, and possible referral to law enforcement agencies for appropriate action. Anyone, student or staff, who retaliates against an individual reporting alleged sexual harassment may be subject to discipline. Anyone who retaliates against an individual who testifies, assists, or participates in an investigation, proceeding, or hearing related to a complaint of sexual harassment may be subject to discipline. In addition to sexual harassment, Linn-Mar students and staff are also protected from harassing behaviors based on age, race, creed, color, marital status, national origin, religion, sexual orientation, and disability. Harassing acts may be treated as just cause for discipline or discharge. At this time, your homeroom teachers are going to review the types of actions that may constitute harassment, the process of responding to a complaint, and hold a short discussion on harassment issues.